So, I kind of feel like YouTube is handing me my hat, and in some respects that's my fault. I should have practiced what I preached. I said I would delete any hate comments and instead have tried to engage with some of them, but the simple truth is that I lack the motivation to keep responding to them. I have engaged with a person who held transphobic views in real life, and I believe I made him think about those views, many of which had come from the right-wing press here in the UK. It's not so simple with keyboard warriors, many of whom probably don't even see me as a person. I started this channel to try to make things better for trans people by informing my experience and by providing education from my own viewpoint that I believe would have been useful to me when I began transition. My ongoing plan was to air a few topics before drawing this particular series of videos to a close. I've instead decided to bring it to a close somewhat earlier than planned. I'd rather do that than just turn off the comments in future videos. I am also minded of the fact that at present I enjoy relative obscurity. I think my life will remain as good as it can be if I maintain that level of obscurity. We trans people are unfortunately on one side of a culture war, and certain factions of the press, and not just right-wing press, have a habit of stirring up negative emotions against us. The best thing that I can do to fight for my side is simply to exist in society. From a mental health perspective, as trans people go, I think I'm doing quite well. I'm not somebody who has ever considered ending anything, if you take my meaning, which is pretty good going for a trans person. I need to maintain my level of mental health, and I don't think continuing to discuss trans content and seeing comments that some people post will help me to do that. I have dependents who rely on me, so my duty is to protect my mental health. My duty to protect my mental health extends not just to me, but to my family as well, and to the organisation that I work for. Indeed, it is one of Dr. Z PhD's recommendations for trans people that they avoid certain areas of social media. I recently posted a video in which I discussed what it would take for me to detransition. I've no intention of actually doing that. There is a huge difference between my experience on social media and my experience of real life. I live a normal life in almost every respect outside of the internet. Inside social media there of course exist keyboard warriors that take a strong dislike to people like me, but I usually don't have any trouble in real world society. Continuing my transition to completion continues to be the way forward for me. In stating this, I am not commending the course of transitioning to anybody else. Transitioning only makes life easier for you if you absolutely need to do it, and that was the case for me, as has been confirmed by every physician I have ever met. I don't think anybody would transition out of idle curiosity. I think the drive in an individual has to be extremely strong for someone to walk this path. While I'm talking about mental health, I'd like to offer one tip to trans people, or indeed any person who may have an issue that's causing negative feelings, with no guarantee that it will work for you, of course. If you have a memory of an experience of something that has upset you, imagine that you are in a cinema watching the scene unfold. Let it play in your mind's eye, and while you do that, drain the colour from the image you are seeing. Make the sound tinny and faint, such that you can still see it, but it's harder to see. Now imagine that you are a third person watching yourself watching the movie from a distance. Imagine everything getting fainter and fainter. This is a technique that helps me to dissociate from negative feelings. I admire others in this space, as I think that as a trans person or an ally, one needs an incredibly thick skin to succeed on YouTube. In particular, I would like to shout out Dr. Jamie, whose channel has been particularly informative, and of course the wonderful Dr. Z PhD. I will continue to support them. I would also like to thank almost all trans people on YouTube, though I'm not going to name them because some of them may well not appreciate that, even if they are out. I say almost all because there exists a small number of trans YouTubers who hold views that I consider transphobic. I'm not going to name names, but there are very few people in that category. I will probably produce non-trans related content in the future. It's not likely to be semi-regular as this series has been. It's probably not even going to have anything to do with gender. Well, thank you for watching, and I wish you well.